Dani and Bill are back, and it feels like the entire world inside Beyond the Gates just shifted overnight. The moment they stepped back onto the screen, you could almost hear the shockwaves spreading through the house. Whispers turned into wide eyes, and wide eyes turned into straight-up panic for some of the cast. But if their return was the spark, Hayley and Anita's fiery reactions were the explosion. And in episode 141, we didn't just get drama, we got a storm that might change the entire season. Episode 141 of Beyond the Gates wastes no time throwing us into chaos. The episode opens with the group in that tense waiting room energy we've seen so many times before, a quiet mix of boredom and nerves. Everyone is calculating, everyone is holding their breath, but no one is ready for what comes next. Because out of nowhere, the doors swing open, and in walk Dani and Bill like they never left. The music drops heavy, the cameras cut to reaction shots, and suddenly it's like the air in the room is gone. You can almost feel how the mood flips from calm to total panic in seconds. Dani steps in first, cool and confident, with that smirk that has always been her trademark. Bill follows, steady and collected, but his presence hits differently. He's the kind of character who doesn't need to say much. His silence is enough to shift the balance. The way other cast members froze said everything. People who thought they were safe suddenly didn't look so safe anymore. And the ones who had been loudest about Dani and Bill being gone, their faces told us they knew the storm was back to claim its victims. The show doesn't waste time catching the audience up, either. We're immediately reminded of why Dani and Bill's return is so explosive. These two left behind unfinished business, burned bridges, and half-truths that have been haunting the house ever since they exited. Bringing them back now is like dropping gasoline on an already burning fire. And you can see CBS is loving every second of it. Because the editing is sharp, close-ups on every reaction, the perfect pauses, the cutting music, they want us to feel that this is not just another return. This is the return that shifts the season's story arc. Then, as if the return wasn't enough, Hayley and Anita completely lose their cool. The camera zeroes in on them, and it's like watching two people trying to hide their fury and failing miserably. Hayley's eyes dart, her jaw clenches, and Anita goes full fire, muttering under her breath while the others watch. In that moment, it's clear, whatever history they share with Dani and Bill, it's not just unresolved, it's toxic. And now, with these two standing right in front of them again, every old wound is about to be ripped wide open. But episode 141 isn't only about shock value. It's about foreshadowing. You can tell by the way the producers structured the whole scene that Dani and Bill aren't just back to stir the pot. They're here with purpose. And whether that purpose is revenge, redemption, or some secret mission from the game's design, we're not told yet. What we are shown is how quickly their presence turns the house upside down. Old alliances suddenly look fragile, enemies find new energy, and even the quiet ones are forced to pick a side. The rest of the episode keeps spinning out from that one big reveal. Conversations shift in corners of the house, strategies get whispered, and you can almost see the domino effect. By the time the credits roll, it's clear the return of Dani and Bill isn't just a plot twist, it's the reset button. Everything that came before, it doesn't matter as much anymore. Episode 141 closes by showing us the exact kind of cliffhanger this show thrives on. Hayley and Anita whispering furiously to each other, Dani smiling like she knows she's already won, and Bill standing silent, almost unreadable, as if he's holding the biggest secret of all. This recap makes it clear, episode 141 isn't filler. It's a turning point. Dani and Bill's re-entry rewrites the script for everyone else, and with Hayley and Anita so openly rattled, you can't help but wonder, are they about to crumble under pressure, or are they plotting the comeback of the season? Either way, CBS just handed us one of the juiciest episodes yet. And it's only the beginning of where this story could go. Dani and Bill's return is not just another twist in Beyond the Gates. It feels like the producers reached deep into the show's vault of unfinished stories, pulled out two of the most controversial names, and dropped them back into the middle of the chaos, like live grenades. The shock wasn't just because of who they are, it's because of what they represent. Both of them carry history, secrets, and scars that never fully healed when they walked out the first time. And in a house where perception is everything, that kind of baggage can be a weapon or a curse. Let's start with Dani. She has always been one of those players who thrives in tension. Even in earlier episodes, her style was less about blending in and more about calling out. Where others would whisper, Dani would speak loud. Where others tried to smooth things over, Dani leaned into confrontation. That's why her exit earlier in the season felt almost like a relief for some characters. Without her around, the air was lighter. People like Hayley and Anita could rebuild their confidence without worrying about Dani cutting through their every move. But with her return, that fragile balance cracked instantly. The smirk she wore when she stepped back inside wasn't just a smile, it was a statement. It said, "You thought the story moved on without me, but I'm the story." And the truth is, she might not be wrong. Bill, on the other hand, is a different kind of threat. Where Dani thrives on fire, Bill thrives on silence. He is the type of player who can sit in the corner of a room, not saying a word, and still manage to control the energy. When he left, there was this sense of unfinished business hanging in the air, like a question mark the show never answered. Why did he really leave? Who was he protecting? And what did he know that others didn't? Now that he's back, all those old questions are suddenly urgent again. His calm expression during their re-entry wasn't boring, it was unnerving. Because unlike Dani, who announces her presence loudly, Bill doesn't need to. His silence speaks louder than words. And that's terrifying for people who depend on reading others to survive in the game. Together, Dani and Bill are a dangerous combination. Separately, they are fire and ice. Together, they're a storm that no one else in the house is prepared for. Dani commands attention, forcing everyone to deal with her head. Bill absorbs information, storing it quietly until the perfect time to use it. And that's what makes them so hard to predict. Are they allies now, teaming up for revenge? Or are they each running their own play, circling each other until the moment comes to strike? Episode 141 doesn't give us those answers yet, but the way the producers frame their return suggests that whatever they're here to do, it's going to shape the rest of the season. You can also feel how their return changes the power map instantly. Before this episode, the house was split into smaller groups, each carving out safety through whispers and alliances. But Dani and Bill are the kind of characters who force sides to form quickly. Neutral ground disappears when they're around. If you're not with them, you're against them, and that's the kind of pressure that breaks weak players. Some faces lit up when they walked in, probably thinking about new alliances or revenge plays. Others looked terrified, like their safety just evaporated. And in a game like this, fear is the biggest weakness. Dani can smell it, Bill can sense it, and together they'll push it until someone snaps. What makes this even juicier is the history they share. With Hayley and Anita, we don't even need the show to remind us that tension is written all over their reactions. Dani and Hayley's past clashes weren't just game strategy, they were personal. Anita, on the other hand, never trusted Bill's quiet nature, and it showed in every conversation they had back in earlier episodes. To bring Dani and Bill back now, right when Hayley and Anita were settling into their own power, is more than a twist. It's a challenge. It's CBS saying, "You thought you had the upper hand. Think again." But here's the thing. Dani and Bill might not even need to do much to cause chaos. Just being present destabilizes the house. Every whispered conversation now has a shadow. Every plan feels weaker because there are two unpredictable players who know the game and know the people. And that's the brilliance of their comeback. They don't have to move loudly. They don't even have to reveal their full plan. All they have to do is exist in the space. And everyone else begins to unravel as the episode unfolds. You can see Dani's energy pulling the spotlight back toward her. She thrives under it, playing to the cameras, stirring conversations, throwing subtle jabs. Bill, meanwhile, stays calm, like he's waiting for everyone else to overplay their hand. It's this balance, Dani creating noise, Bill creating silence, that makes them so magnetic to watch. The other cast members can't ignore them, and the audience can't look away. Episode 141 doesn't just bring Dani and Bill back. It repositions them as the beating heart of the drama, the wildcard pair who could either destroy each other or everyone else by the end of the episode. It's clear that Dani and Bill's story isn't about closure. It's about reopening wounds, reigniting conflicts, and forcing everyone to face the fact that they left the game unfinished. And now, with their return, no one is safe, no alliance is solid, and no plan is unshakable. Dani and Bill are back, and the game will never be the same. If Dani and Bill's return was the match, then Hayley and Anita were the explosion that followed. From the moment those doors opened, the tension that had been simmering between them suddenly had nowhere to hide. Episode 141 doesn't just give us a fight. It gives us the unraveling of two players who had been holding their positions strong, only to see their control slip through their fingers in real time. And the brilliance of it, CBS didn't need to stage anything. The raw emotion on Hayley and Anita's faces told the entire story. Let's start with Hayley. She has always played the game with a sharp mix of calculation and emotion. She knows how to mask her feelings when she wants to, but Dani's re-entry hit her like a wrecking ball. You could see it in her eyes the second she realized who had walked in. That flicker of panic, followed by the quick attempt to hide it, didn't fool anyone. The way she shifted in her seat, the way her jaw locked tight, it screamed that she had unfinished business with Dani. And not just casual tension. This was the kind of history that burns. Hayley had spent episodes building herself back up after Dani left, slowly regaining ground and positioning herself as someone others could trust. Dani's return didn't just threaten her game, it threatened her identity in the house. Now add Anita into the mix, and the fire doubles. Anita has always been more direct than Hayley, less about playing subtle and more about raw energy. If something bothers her, she doesn't swallow it down, she spits it out. And that's exactly what we saw when Bill walked back in beside Dani. Anita's muttering under her breath, the rolling of her eyes, the refusal to even look in their direction, it wasn't subtle. It was a clear declaration of war. Anita has never liked Bill's quiet style. To her, his silence has always felt like manipulation, like he's collecting everyone's secrets while revealing nothing. Seeing him back was like reopening an old wound she'd hoped would stay closed. What makes this clash so unique is that Hayley and Anita, despite often working alongside each other, don't handle pressure the same way. Hayley retreats inward, trying to process and plot. Anita lashes outward, showing everyone exactly how she feels. But in episode 141, their reactions fused into something messy, both of them spiraling at once. Their control cracking, and their enemies watching closely. Dani smiled because she knew she'd gotten under Hayley's skin. Bill stayed calm because he knew Anita's temper could be used against her. And the rest of the house, they sat back, probably thinking, if these two are falling apart already, why should I get in the way? The argument between Hayley and Anita didn't even need words to be powerful. It was in the body language. The way they leaned in close to whisper furiously to each other while throwing nervous glances toward Dani and Bill. Those whispers weren't calm strategy talks, they were panic. Pure and simple. You could tell they weren't aligned. Hayley wanted to hold the reaction in, keep the mask on, and wait for the right move. Anita wanted to burn the whole thing down then and there. That split in approach might seem small, but in a game like Beyond the Gates, it's everything. Because the moment cracks form in an alliance, others will dig in and break it completely. And that's exactly what Dani and Bill's return threatens to do. Hayley and Anita's frustration isn't just with Dani and Bill, it's with each other. You can sense it bubbling underneath. Anita sees Hayley as too cautious, too worried about appearances. Hayley sees Anita as reckless, too eager to fight openly when it isn't the smart time. The irony is that both of them are right. They each see the other's flaws clearly, but instead of covering for them, they're exposing them. And nothing makes an enemy's job easier than watching their rivals destroy each other from the inside. CBS knew what they were doing by lingering on those shots. Close-ups of Hayley's clenched fists, Anita's muttered curses, Dani's sly grin, Bill's unreadable stare. It all paints a picture of a house that's no longer united against outsiders, but fractured from within. And in Beyond the Gates, once you lose your composure on camera, the edit will never let you forget it. The producers cut those reactions perfectly to make sure the audience knew Hayley and Anita aren't just mad, they're losing control by the end of the episode. The whispers between them shift from annoyance into outright panic. They're scrambling, trying to figure out whether they can rally allies to their side or if Dani and Bill's presence has already pulled too much oxygen out of the room. And the truth, they look like they're on the defensive for the first time in weeks. That's the real victory Dani and Bill earned in their first moments back. They didn't even have to make a move. They just showed up, and Hayley and Anita broke themselves. This conflict is the kind that sticks. It's not just a one-episode blow-up. It's the type of feud that lingers, changing how every future move will be read. Hayley and Anita might try to patch things up, but trust once cracked doesn't return easily. And the house saw it. Everyone else now knows that under pressure, these two are vulnerable. That knowledge is power. That weakness is bait. And Dani and Bill, they're already circling like sharks. Episode 141 doesn't just work as a moment of drama. It works as a carefully designed turning point that speaks to the larger themes this season has been building. If you step back from the shouting, the glares, and the awkward silences, you can see the outline of something bigger. A story about loyalty, betrayal, and the cost of survival in a world where trust is almost impossible. CBS didn't bring Dani and Bill back just to shock the cast. They brought them back because the season needed a shakeup in its heart. A reminder that nothing is ever stable inside Beyond the Gates. One of the clearest themes in this episode is the danger of unfinished business. Dani and Bill left the game earlier in ways that felt incomplete, their exits leaving questions hanging in the air. Now that they're back, those questions demand answers. Their presence forces everyone else to confront the past, whether they want to or not. Hayley and Anita's fury isn't just about strategy, it's about wounds that never healed. It's about the idea that you can't bury what hasn't been resolved. That theme resonates deeply, because in Beyond the Gates, personal history always finds a way to collide with the present. Episode 141 reminds us that characters aren't just playing a game. They're carrying baggage that can explode at any time. There's also a theme of mirrors and reflections in this episode. Think about it. Dani's fiery presence reflects the anger simmering inside Hayley, while Bill's quiet control mirrors Anita's inability to hide her emotions. It's as though the producers are intentionally pairing opposites, forcing characters to see versions of themselves they hate. The editing leans into this idea too, cutting from Dani's smirk to Hayley's clenched jaw, or from Bill's calm stare to Anita's restless muttering. The show is telling us that these aren't random clashes, they're carefully set mirrors, designed to show us how alike enemies can really be. And in Beyond the Gates, the people who hate each other most often share the most in common. Another layer that episode 141 teases is the fragility of alliances. Before Dani and Bill returned, the house was in a fragile balance. Groups had formed, strategies were in motion, and a kind of uneasy peace existed. But Dani and Bill's return shattered that balance in seconds. It shows us how fragile every alliance really is. One unexpected twist, one new variable, and everything collapses. The producers are reminding us that in this world, stability is an illusion. If you think you're safe, you're already slipping. That's not just game design, it's thematic storytelling. The instability forces everyone to show their real selves, because when the ground beneath them crumbles, masks fall off. Foreshadowing also plays a huge role in this episode. Look at the way Bill stayed quiet during the chaos, refusing to jump into the spotlight. That silence isn't just his style, it's setup. Silence in Beyond the Gates is always a sign of something brewing. We've seen it before. The quiet ones hold the biggest secrets, and when they finally speak, the impact is seismic. Bill's silence here foreshadows a future move, one that might flip the entire game. Dani, meanwhile, keeps her energy loud and chaotic, but even that feels like foreshadowing. The way she smiles when Hayley unravels, the way she refuses to look nervous, it's a sign that she knows more than she's letting on. Dani isn't just back to play, she's back to win, and she's already 3 steps ahead. Symbolically, episode 141 also leans into the theme of return and rebirth. When Dani and Bill walk back into the house, it isn't framed as a casual re-entry, it's almost ritualistic. The music drops low, the camera lingers on the stunned faces, and the air shifts. It feels less like two people entering a game and more like ghosts walking back into a place they once haunted. That's powerful symbolism. It tells us that in Beyond the Gates, no one is ever really gone. The past always finds a way to resurrect itself, often at the worst possible moment. That symbolism hints that their return is more than just temporary, it's the start of a new phase in the season.